NewsNation's Dre Clark is also on the case for us, talking to the police officer directly involved in the capture this morning. Dre.
Yeah, Marty, good morning. In just a moment, I will be joined by Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens. He was the Pennsylvania State Police, a trooper who led the effort to find and apprehend Danelo Cavalcante. He's actually walking over as we speak. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you for coming over. I know it's been a very busy morning for you, certainly a very busy 2 weeks. Let me just first begin with getting your thoughts on the conclusion of this 2-week-long capture and some of the challenges and difficulties it took for you guys to actually make this apprehension.
Well, I'm very happy that we've come to this resolution. You always worry when you run an operation like this that someone will get hurt, someone in the public or someone on the law enforcement team. There's always there's an element of danger. The individual, in this case that we were pursuing, we did consider to be a very dangerous individual. And so I was happy and relieved with the outcome that we experienced today.
In the beginning, we know that he was a convicted murderer. You guys set up multiple perimeters, and he managed to somehow get beyond those perimeters on several occasions. Do you think he was getting some kind of help by chance, and is that now a part of your investigation?
Well, that is a part of our investigation. I think that by and large, that was not necessarily a factor in his ability to continue to move. But again, we're looking at all of the information we have, and certainly whatever we glean now that he's in custody will all factor into whether there are any eventual criminal charges that come out of this.
We've heard so much about him being from Brazil and spending time in the jungles of Brazil, and perhaps that gave him an added advantage in trying to navigate through the wilds of Chester County. Early on, do you think you guys may have underestimated just how clever or determined and desperate he might be in trying to get away?
No, I really don't. I mean, how desperate or how determined he is really isn't as much of a factor. I mean, we take for granted that someone who has gone to the lengths to escape from prison in some way does not want to be recaptured. We knew that he was facing a life sentence without parole here, and that he has the potential to be extradited if he weren't facing that here back to Brazil to face a homicide charge back there. So he obviously was very motivated not to go back to prison, regardless of his background. In terms of his skill set, those are all things that we consider and we assess how we will conduct our search. But I don't think we underestimated him. I think he was in good shape. I think he had the ability to climb. It was a unique type of escape that he made from the prison. And I think, though, that our people very quickly began to see how he operated in terms of any habits for travel and things that I talked about earlier, and we adjusted to meet those. And you know, it's just every one of these searches has their challenges. It's not necessarily that the individual has a particular skill set. It's just they're very determined not to go back.
When he was able to get his hands on that rifle, that .22 caliber rifle on Monday night, how did that shift the level of urgency in terms of trying to find him?
Well, we always considered him, and I said repeatedly, he is a very dangerous individual. We always believed that if given the opportunity, he would use violence to avoid being taken back into custody. And so when he got the rifle, that certainly just confirmed for us that now he had that ability. We were always concerned. We knew he had a backpack. We knew that he had obviously accessed some other things. We could never be sure whether or not he had a firearm, and so we always treated him as being armed.
Last night, you guys were very confident that he was hiding somewhere within that 8-square-mile perimeter. Turns out you were right. It all began late last night after midnight when you had that DEA fixed-wing aircraft that sort of picked up on heat. But then those storms moved in, and that sort of hampered, or at least you had to bring that aircraft out of the ground. But what happened from that point?
Well, from that point, the teams that were out there were very dedicated and made sure that they moved themselves around as best they could to properly secure him in the area where he was last seen by the aircraft, or where the heat signature was. And they held that area securely. Now, we also had a secondary perimeter that we put in behind them in the event that that was unsuccessful for whatever reason, that we weren't going back to the much larger perimeter. And so we had a couple of fallbacks there. But again, that team did a great job out there. They held him in that area. They were undetected until this morning when they began to move in and began to take him into custody.
You move in at just after 8 o'clock this morning. You had the element of surprise. Was he sleeping? What was he doing when you guys moved in on him?
I'm not aware that he was sleeping. I believe he was up, but again, they had the element of surprise. He didn't hear them coming until they got closer. As they approached, he did realize that someone was coming through the woods. He then began to crawl away through some dense underbrush, and at that point, the canine was released, and the canine subdued him until team members quickly moved in, took him into custody, and pulled the canine back.
When he made his move, did he have the rifle with him?
He did.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.